You hatch from an egg smaller than a grain of sand gray, half blind, thinner than an eyelash, and the first thing that happens to you is that your own mother turns around and tries to eat you. You are one of 1,000 that hatched this morning. By tomorrow night, almost all of them will be gone eaten, most of them by your own family. You are not a pet yet. You are food that hasn't been caught. And here's the part that should stop you cold. The ones who don't get eaten, the survivors, the lucky few are about to get the worst deal of all. Because you were built to live 40 years, to grow as long as a human arm, to remember almost everything you ever see. And nearly every one of you will spend that whole enormous life dying slowly in a bowl the size of a fist, waiting for the face of the person who's killing you. You don't know any of that yet. Right now, you're just trying to survive the first night. Skip forward. For the first few days, you don't even swim. You hang from a leaf by your head, absorbing the last of your own yolk, unable to move, unable to run from anything. This is the most dangerous time in your entire life. And you spend it stuck to a plant, hoping nothing notices you. Things notice you. Adult fish, insects. The pump that keeps the water clean, pulling the smallest of you in. Of the 1,000 that hatched, a few dozen make it to the size of a rice grain. You are one of them. Not because you were stronger, because of where you happen to be floating. Then you start to change and you discover what you actually are. The gray burns off, and you turn the color everyone knows: gold, orange, the color of a coin. That color isn't natural. Nobody in a wild river is born looking like you. 1,000 years ago in China, you were a plain gray carp in the mud, and people bred the rare gold ones, generation after generation, for 1,000 years, for emperors, until they built you. The way they built a dog out of a wolf. And they built you tough. In open water, you grow to the length of a human forearm, over a foot long. You can live 20, 30, 40 years. You can survive a pond frozen solid over winter. You can even survive water with no oxygen at all for months. Your body does something almost nothing else on Earth can do, and turns the poison building up inside you into alcohol just to stay alive. You are one of the most durable animals a person can own. Remember that, because everything that's about to happen to you happens anyway. You aren't born in a river anymore. You're born in a farm, one of millions, in vast ponds scooped up and sorted by hand. And here is where a lot of you learn you were never meant to be loved at all. The ones with the wrong color, the wrong shape, and simply the ones there are too many of get a different label: feeder fish. You are sold by the bagful, for pennies, for one purpose: to be dropped, alive, into a tank with something bigger and eaten, a snack for a turtle. Live food for a pet no one calls cruel. Most goldfish sold on Earth are sold this way. You spend your whole short existence packed into a tank with thousands of others, half of you sick, waiting to be someone else's meal. You were built for 40 years. You were priced at 10 cents. If you're not a feeder, if you're one of the lucky ones picked to be a pet, you go to the store. The store tank is wall-to-wall bodies. The water carries disease between all of you white spots that eat your skin, rot that frays your fins. Some of you are dead in the tank before you're ever sold, floating among the living while children point at the pretty ones. Then a hand and a net, a plastic bag the size of a fist. Or, for millions of you, a fairground, one for knocking down a can and handed to a child in the dark. The bag isn't a prize, it's a countdown. The oxygen is already running out. Your own waste is already building in water too small to turn around in. The temperature drops with the night air. Most of you who start in that bag are dead within days, floating before the child has even chosen a name. You don't get hunted, you don't get eaten, you're killed by a plastic bag and a kind afternoon, survive that, and you get promoted. To the bowl. The bowl looks like mercy. It's a slow execution. You breathe, you eat, you make waste, and in a bowl with no filter, that waste turns the water to ammonia. Ammonia burns. It scars your gills a little more every day, the way smoke scars lungs, in water that looks perfectly clean to the person who loves you. You rise to the surface and gulp at the air because there isn't enough oxygen down below, and they think you're being cute. You're suffocating. And everything they do to help makes it worse. They clean the bowl with tap water straight from the faucet, and the chlorine in it burns your gills raw. They change all the water at once, and the shock of it nearly stops your heart. They love you, so they feed you and keep feeding you, but you have no real stomach. You are built to nibble all day in a lake. And the food they pour in bloats you until you can't stay upright. Some nights, desperate, you throw your whole body at the only edge you can find and you jump, clean out of the bowl. They find you in the morning, dried to the counter. And the bowl doesn't only shrink your world, it shrinks you. Trapped in that little water, poisoned by yourself, your body is forced to stop growing the forearm-long animal you were built to be, held down at the size of a thumb. The person above you feeds you every day. The person above you is killing you every day. They are the same act. They will never know. And here's what makes all of it so much worse. They say you forget in 3 seconds. It is the most famous fact about you on Earth, and it is completely, provably false. You remember for months. You can be trained to swim through hoops, push levers, come to one corner at feeding time. You learn the pattern of the day, and you know the face. The shape of the glass isn't a blur. You recognize it, tell it apart from every other, and the moment it appears, you rush the front of the bowl to meet it. People call that begging. It's the closest thing to a relationship you will ever have. In your entire flat world of glass and light, that face is the one thing that means something is out there, and you remember it every single time. You are not a decoration with a 3-second mind. You are aware. You know exactly how small your world is, and you never, ever forget it. That's not a mercy. That's the worst part of the whole thing. Some of you were built worse than others on purpose. To make you prettier, people bred whole kinds of you into bodies that barely function. Eyes swollen into fluid balloons that burst if you brush a rock. Eyes aimed at the ceiling, so you can't see the food in front of you. Bodies bred egg round for a cute shape, which crushes the organ that keeps you upright, so you spend your life tilting, sinking, floating helplessly upside down while you're still alive. You didn't get sick. You were designed this way. And if they keep you in a dark room, something quiet happens. Your color needs light to survive. Without it, the gold drains out of you week by week until you fade to a ghostly white, the pet they picked for its color, slowly turning colorless in the dark, and no one even notices. If you survive all of it, this is your life. The glass, the light, the corner where the food falls. You reach the wall, you turn. You reach the wall, you turn. The world is 20 centimeters across, and it never gets any bigger, and you remember every single lap because you remember everything. An animal built for a lake, built for 40 years, circling a cup of water, waiting for a face. Every so often, one of you gets tipped into a pond by someone who couldn't watch you die on the counter. Most don't survive the change, but the ones who do explode. Freed from the bowl, in open water for the first time, they grow to 1 foot, 2 feet deep-bodied orange giants, weighing as much as a bag of sugar, living for decades, thriving so completely that in lakes all over the world, they've become an invasive monster no one can get rid of. That was inside you the entire time. The giant, the decades, the whole enormous life. The only thing standing between you and all of it was a bowl the size of a fist and a person who was certain you'd be dead in a week. Most of you never see the lake. Most of you are found one morning at the surface of the bowl, small and still, in the water that did it. The child cries. The bowl is emptied into the toilet. And on the next warm weekend, at the next fair, another one of you is knocked down for a prize and handed over in a bag. But there was one, a real one, won at a fair in England in 1956, kept in a tank that lived 43 years. It outlived the boy's entire childhood. Proof, swimming in a bowl, of what every single one of you was always capable of. Almost none of you get that. Not because you couldn't, because the people who loved you never knew what you were. Somewhere tonight, a child is naming a new one, dropping in food, certain it won't last the week. Certain it forgets everything in 3 seconds. It remembers all of it, and it's already waiting for the face. You spent your whole life trapped in a small glass world, remembering everything, wanting nothing but more time. There's a creature that does the exact opposite. It gives up everything for beauty. It spends weeks building itself into the most beautiful thing alive, and then it dissolves its own body into liquid, while it's still alive and rebuilds itself from nothing. And after all of that, after becoming the most beautiful thing on earth, it gets about 2 weeks before it dies. Go find out why it sucks to be born as a butterfly. It's on your screen now.